Welcome back. In today's discussion, we'll be continuing with the start of the play. In the previous discussion, I talked about the introduction of the play and how the play actually starts. So in the very first scene, prologue, Orestes appears to be speaking on stage outside Clytemnestra's palace, accompanied by the old man and Pylades, his friend, son of Sophocles, king of Phocis. First, he is encouraged by the old man to exact revenge against Agamemnon's tragic death, rather murder by Clytemnestra. Secondly, Orestes consults the Delphic oracle of Apollo. Here he receives the oracle, the prophecy, and interprets it. What is significant here is that Orestes is planning to murder his mother on the basis of his interpretation of Apollo's words. What Sophocles highlights here is how a crime like matricide means murder of one's mother, how such a heinous crime, murder of one's mother, is based on the individual's own interpretation of Apollo's words. So they here plan for the revenge of Agamemnon's murder through deceit. So this is how Orestes interprets Apollo's prophecy, that Apollo asks him to follow this course of action and kill his mother through deception and deceit. Now they plan things together. Orestes, old man, and Pylades, they are involved in this planning to see what course of action will be desirable and through which they can succeed in their goal. So he gives them a plan to the old man especially, and asks him to enter the palace and spread fake news of Orestes' death in order to make Clytemnestra and Aegisthus feel safe. Because if Orestes has truly died, it means they should no more fear his return and his attempt at exacting revenge against them. So he fakes his own death. Now, what you need to understand here is faking one's own death was considered a taboo, something forbidden, not allowed among Greeks, and it was a bad omen. So, from the very start of the play, we notice how it is based on deception and deceit, and how we realize something vicious, something bad is going to happen. Now, looking at the way Orestes is encouraged by the old man in the first place and then by Apollo's words, we analyze that Orestes is too young, that is why still unable to decide things on his own. He relies on the old man's persuasion and then his own interpretation of Apollo's prophecy. And as the play opens, we have Electra on stage, and her speech allows us to understand her unending grief and suffering over her father's murder by Clytemnestra. And this theme is emphasized throughout the play. Another thing that you must understand is, as I mentioned in the introduction of the play, Sophocles explores in detail theme of gender roles in Greek society. Let me here first explain very briefly what gender role means. Gender role means certain forms of actions, behavior which are expected of male or female. Certain roles are associated with men and they are not considered desirable and acceptable in women, and vice versa. But mostly this force of gender roles goes against women. Men relatively enjoy greater freedom of action and decision. On the other hand, women's freedom is curbed by society's unjustifiable expectations and roles that they impose on women. What we notice here in the play is Electra, who is lamenting and waiting for Orestes' return and seek his father's revenge. Although Electra has been portrayed as a strong female character in the play in many ways, one point that I want to add here is, and this is quite intriguing, and as we have studied in Agamemnon by Aeschylus, and we find how Clytemnestra overpowers Agamemnon and murders him mercilessly. And here we have Electra with strong opinion, and after approximately 20 years still adamant not to accept and forgive her mother or her relationship with Augustus. So in a way, Electra is portrayed as resisting male dominance, and through her character, Sophocles shows how these popular stereotypes of women are challenged and subverted by characters like Clytemnestra and Electra. But at the same time, this cannot be overlooked, and this actually shows how strong these gender roles are in society. Clytemnestra murders Agamemnon, but significantly supported by Augustus. Electra, although spends years not submitting to the authority and power of her mother or Augustus, and still continues to lament his father's tragic death, but she is waiting for Orestes to come and seek Agamemnon's revenge. She does not perform it by herself, but the way she subverts these gender roles is the point that we are going to discuss in the play, where after receiving fake news of Orestes' death, she determines to act on her own and perform this action. And in that plan, she invites Chrysothemis, her sister, to participate so that they both could work together and murder Clytemnestra and Augustus. But since Chrysothemis is unwilling to involve in such an act, she refuses, and at that point we do not find Electra cowering, withdrawing, stepping back. She is still confident, she is still determined to challenge and somehow seek this revenge, even at the cost of her life. But as I have pointed out, we find men in society more powerful than women. So this is through Electra's character and the way her determination does not drop even after knowing that Orestes is dead, as is reported by the old man, and wants to perform this action by herself. The next point that we are going to analyze here is mother-daughter relationship. And throughout the play, this is again a dominant feature of Sophocles Electra. The relationship between Electra and Clytemnestra. Now Electra hates her mother for adultery, for having illegitimate relationship with Orestes, because she had already taken him as a lover before the arrival of Agamemnon, and then due to her murdering Agamemnon. On the other hand, just to make you understand how two people react differently to the same circumstances, we have the character of Chrysothemis, who has made a deal with circumstances. We'll be talking about her opinion and ideas in the play, how she does not have the sentiments that Electra has. So Chrysothemis is unwilling to either lament Agamemnon's death or carry out an ambitious act to somehow kill the murderers, although she believes what was done to Agamemnon was injustice, unfair. But Electra, despite all these years, this is quite an unusual time period, approximately 2 decades after Agamemnon's death. This is when the play starts, this one. She has continued with the same sentiments. She does not relent. And this is her extraordinary obsession with revenge that ultimately leads to Clytemnestra and Orestes' murder by Orestes. Another thing that is related to this point, she comments that she seeks her father's revenge because she owes him this much. As his child, as his daughter, it is her obligation, her duty to seek his revenge by persecuting his killers and murdering them. But ironically, she does not think of Clytemnestra in the same way, because she is her mother. So her relationship with Agamemnon is stronger than with Clytemnestra. She expresses children's obligation to their parents, but ignores the same for Clytemnestra. She has this unquenchable sense of revenge, this boundless contempt, hatred for her mother. So we'll continue with our discussion in our upcoming lectures. Thank you very much.